30. We'll call the Brookings County Commission meeting for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 to order. If all would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, item 3 on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do I have any comments or additions or corrections?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include public comment after the presentation of item number 8.
All right, add an item B, public comment to the scheduled agenda item at 9 a.m. Do I have any comments, corrections, or additions? Hearing none, look for,
Need a second to.
do we need a second on the motion?
Larry's
Second.
amendment.
Okay. Yep, so look for a second on there. Do we have one? We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.
And now you need to
Now-
vote on the main motion.
You bet. And now,
Good.
the number 3 motion to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 4, recognition of employee anniversaries. Commissioner Miller.
Ben? Good morning. Morning. We have a certificate of appreciation that's presented to Ben Wrench on this 3rd day of March 2026 by the Brookings County Commission in recognition of 5 years of dedicated, exceptional service in the Brookings Highway Department. Thank you very much. We got to do the photo op.
All right, number 5 on the agenda is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. There's a 5-minute time limit per person. Anyone wanting to speak during this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. No commission action will be taken during this agenda item. Any requested action may be scheduled for future meeting date. Now, of course, we added the amendment to talk about our 9 o'clock. Is there anybody here that would like to visit now about an item not listed on the agenda? Please come forward. If you would
Good
just-
morning. I'm Scott Christofferson. I live in Volga, South Dakota. Been a resident here for 20-some years. Originally from Dual County. My family still owns land in Dual County, and we're seeing lots of hyper-scale development projects being moved to that area, or trying to move to that area. I guess today I'm just kind of sitting here as a concerned citizen, wanting to convey some concerns to the county commission and maybe get some information back eventually here on some items that I'm just gonna briefly speak on. Mainly protections for Brookings and Brookings County towns and from hyperscale industries. We have quite a lot of folks in the county have questions and things to consider. You know, as far as where things sit with the county commission and then county in general, there's a few here that I've got listed. Setbacks being number 1. I don't know, you know, I don't, you guys might have us all hammered out, but you may not either. Setbacks, What are or has Brookings County established for wind towers, solar panel terminals for farms, power line projects, power plants, electrical substations, and large 15,000 plus animal units from towns, rural residents, and our water supplies. Just a question there. County road infrastructure, the rules in place or hyperscale industries for county road improvements or replacement? Are there any policies that would change in their new construction? Snow removal, and everything else there. Soil and water, are there county restrictions on soil type or water contamination in any event of a spill or release? Is there a county involved in protection of soil and water contamination? Is there any county monitoring of groundwater, wellheads, or hydrology in Brookings County, especially city and rural wells? Zoning, are there changes to current zoning and/or if laws are need to be addressed for hyperscale industries? Water consumption, are there protections from the county on groundwater consumption? Some towns have water restrictions during the summertime right now because wells can become taxed during the summertime. Is there any short-term plans for adding EMS or sheriff's department and patrols for increased strain when construction occurs with hyperscale industries? Dual County Sheriff has made mention of pretty good strain on their county when that power plant was built there. Is there short-term or long-term dwelling ordinances for industries that want to house more than a certain number of non-related people at their property? These are just 7 quick items that I have concerns about on protecting us as a community. And this stuff is coming in, projects are exceedingly coming in at a rapid pace, and I just, as a concerned citizen, just wanted to come present some of this information and maybe get some information back, and I can present my contact information, maybe to stuff at Stacy here, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for an item not listed on the agenda? Or is everybody else for the, you weren't able to be here before sign in? I was not. Okay, all right. So, anybody else? Seeing none, moving on to number 6, consent agenda items. We have the minutes, travel and education requests, personal action notices, cellular authorizations, and human services report. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do I have any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Post.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 7, routine approval of the claims. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Do I have any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Post.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Letter B, department head reports. We'll start with highway.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Brian.
This afternoon, we have bid openings right next door in the community room for our 2026 Brookings County chip seal project and our 2026 Brookings County surfacing project. Be at 2:30, again mentioned right next door in the community room. Also going to be bid later in March here was our co-op with 16 other counties for our striping project. That bid opening will be held Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 at 11:15 at the Minnehaha County Auditor's Office. And kind of wrapping up my report here, last week the crew attended our annual IMSHA training here in Brookings, and the last little bit of winter hopefully breathes its last breath last weekend, but we did get quite significantly more snow than what we were predicted. But overall, I think with the temps we've got, everything's pretty much gone. I know some of our gravel roads, we did get questions on why we didn't plow those, but in an effort to try to preserve the gravel that we have on the road, we did not do some of those, and now the Mother Nature's remedied that by melting the snow. But we did do some, but not all. Any questions?
Any questions for Brian?
I have one question, Brian, as I'm going through claims.
Yep.
I see a bill here for crack machine repair for $26,000.
Right. That machine is 2017, Dave. So we've had it for just about 10 years, and a major component is the pump, and the pump was replaced. And in order to do that, you got to go inside the machine. So we did have a service, Craftco service dealer do that work, and it's quite an intense process, you know. And prior to doing that, you know, I said, is it worth doing that to this machine? Well, you'd be looking at close to double the cost of what the repairs cost compared to a new machine. We did replace the wand and apparently parts are not cheap for that.
Wow. That's
So-
an expensive repair.
It's a machine that we use yearly during the winter, and it's had a lot of material put through it, and over time those pumps deteriorate.
Everything wears out.
And we did have some training included in that because we do have a new crew, so the servicing dealer came down and gave us, you know, tips and tricks to try to preserve what we put into that machine in order to increase its longevity.
We're going to get another 10 years out of that machine with that repair?
That's the intention, yes.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Sheriff?
Morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
Quick overview with the detention center. We have 53 inmates at the present time. 22 of them are Brookings County inmates, and the rest are from other counties. I do have 23 U.S. Marshal Service inmates, and it's been staying pretty steady around that 23. Also, on the 24/7 program, those numbers are coming down. I have 79 participants, which that's a good sign, is that when we have less people on there, we have less people that are going to court and having an alcohol type violation or bond or whatever. So that's a good number. There's still 37 that come in twice a day for PBT. I have 6 on remote breath test. Have 5 on Scram, which is the ankle bracelet. I have 12 on UAs that come in twice a week. And we have 6 on drug court UAs and 13 on DUI court UAs. So we still have some issues there, but those numbers are coming down, which is good for this time. Otherwise, the snow event didn't create a lot of issues for my office. I always said that when we're going to have snow, let's have it on a weekend because it's just less. Nobody's in a big hurry going places. So the variable speed come down a couple times, and then as the interstate got better, it went back up. So that seems to be working. The way my deputies are taught that traffic was slowing down when those speed limits come on. So anyway, that was good. The other thing, I attended probably my last town and township meeting last week, and it was a good crowd. We ate good, so that's half of it. So anyway, I'll probably miss that. I've been going out there for I don't know how many years and give a presentation, so some of those things. So other than that, I have 3 deputies graduating on this coming Friday, so I'll have 3 more deputies out patrolling. We've had to do a lot of 12-hour shifts and so forth, so I've been running a little slack, but be able to get them back on the road and so forth. So we're going down, there's about 4 of us are going to go down to that graduation too for those three deputies. So anyway, that's all I got unless you have any questions. We had a major fire yesterday in Sunnyview. A shed caught fire. There was a lot of damage and equipment that was lost in that, but we had a lot of area fire departments come in with water and stuff, but the volunteers were able to contain it to that, just that. It was far enough away from residents and stuff, but the shed was a total loss in the equipment, so, but firemen did a good job getting that under control, so.
Marty,
Thank you.
just a quick, with the 3 new deputies you've got coming on board will be how many total deputies then?
What's that, no?
With the 3 new deputies you've got coming on board, that will give you a total of how many deputies?
That will be, then I'll have 10 on patrol. So I'll have 9 deputies and then 1 sergeant on patrol.
Okay.
So that increases to 17, but I have, and actually, Commissioner Vanderwall just asked me about my, and I can get that out to you when, I'll tell you where the areas of where my deputies are. When I say I have 20 deputies, 3 are assigned to jail that are deputized. I have 1 deputy at the courthouse front to check in people, you know, for courts and so forth. And then I have a school resource deputy, and then I have 2 investigative deputies. So actually, I have 9 plus 1 to patrol. So, but I'll give you a chart, and because there's a lot of things have changed in the last year. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you,
Thank
Marty.
you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Lori with Finance.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I thought I would just give a few reminders today to the public. We do have the kiosk out at Lewis where you can renew your registrations, your driver's license, different features they're adding or planning on adding to that all the time. If you go into Lewis, it is over near the service counter. So just wanted to remind people of that. You can also do things online at this site, all those different things. If that interests you, take a screenshot of that. It's kind of handy for when you need something and our office is closed or it's snowing or something and you don't want to get out, you can do that online. A reminder that April is property tax time. Of course, my date is wrong on here because I just grabbed this out of my file, but taxes are due first half the end of April, second half the end of October. You can pay those online. The information is on there. It is also, you can go to the Brookings County website and reach it through that quite easily. To go along with taxes, we have the senior citizen and disabled tax freeze. This has really changed this year. The numbers have really increased. Your valuation can now be up to $514,500. So that really went up high. Also, the incomes, those raised to $56,595 for a single household. A combined household is $66,885. That does include your interest, your Social Security, all of those things. But it is, a lot more people are using that this year with those numbers going up. So wanted to remind people of that. The deadline is April 1st. However, if you missed that deadline, contact our office because we can work something out. You'll see later in the meeting today we had late applications and we can approve those with commission approval. There is also a disabled veteran and surviving spouse property tax exemption. I don't know anything about this one other than we have it, and we do have a few people on it in the county. This is run through the equalization office. Otherwise, I left my phone with my information over there, but we have some openings for elections, or for elections, for the upcoming election. We have, and correct me if I missed somebody, we have Register of Deeds. Christy Cruz is running for Register of Deeds. She's the only person who has applied so far with a petition. My office for my position, which we have Jenna Baker. She has turned in a petition. We have the Sheriff's Office. We have Manny Langstrat. We have Dave Beitler and Sean Hostler. Commission, we have Kelly Vanderwall. And I'm stumping here.
Alan Brody.
Larry Jensen and Alan Brody. And I'm missing somebody, aren't I? Has Marty turned in? Marty Stanwyck. So there you go. You know, I knew I needed my phone with me.
With this crowd, I might change my mind.
He might pull that. He does have time to pull it, so. There are positions open. If you wish to run as a Republican or Democrat, you need that in by the end of April, or October. Oh, for the love of God. See, I'm retiring for a reason. You need those in by the end of March, and if you want to run as an independent, by the end of April. Or, yes, April.
April
I'm going
28th.
back to my spot. Thank you.
I did have a question on that kiosk. What are the hours of availability out at,
Whatever Lewis's hours are,
so it'd be available on the weekends also?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Lori, were you guys going to present the annual report, or is
Yes.
Jen going to do that?
Jen is going to do that right now.
All right. You can go sit down if you want
Thank
to.
you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Lori.
Hi, I'm Jen Beller, Deputy Finance Officer. Just going to go over the annual report with you real quick. So what's in the agenda is the published annual report. So by statute, by March 1st, the annual report has to be filed with legislative audit and then published in all the legal papers within 30 days. And it'll be published in the papers later this week, and it's been filed with legislative audit. So what's in the agenda is the published report. So what that has on it is what we call the major funds: general fund, road and bridge, county building. Those are the major funds, and then all of our other funds are combined into that other governmental funds line. So yeah, just the top half is all your revenues, and then your expenditures, and then it shows you how that affected the fund balance at the bottom. And so we've got our overall, at the end of 2025, the overall net position of the county was that $34,202,429.66. That's all funds combined. And then the long-term debt, you'll see that, I'll give you specifics on that here in a second, is that $5,802,000. Can you turn that on? Oh. So this just shows a little breakdown of all of our cash assets, investments. Our investments are our CDs. We got the $3,004,000 in CDs. And then it shows down here how that's broken out. So of all those funds, rural access infrastructure is restricted. Detention center expansion, so that's money that we're using to pay down the debt for the bond for the jail. Other restricted is that 226,949. That would be things like E911, 24/7, all of those little funds that are still restricted by either statute or an outside agency is restricting that money. And then unrestricted is the 31 million, and that's going to be anything in, well, I'll show you. We'll just switch to this one. So the unrestricted is going to be general fund. You have 20 million assigned for different projects, and then unassigned is the 5.8. Road and Bridge is also unrestricted, 2.6 million, and then the courthouse. But most of the other governmental funds, which is those special revenue funds, is restricted money that we have to use for specific purposes. And this one is kind of small, but it shows those special revenue funds. It's got E911, emergency management, domestic abuse, 24/7, register of deeds, Volga TIF. The opioid, you'll see the opioid is has 11,800 in fund balance, and that can only be used for certain things. And then there's still 1.2 in rural access infrastructure, and then the jail debt service has a balance in there that we will use over time to pay down that debt. A lot of these is money in, money out, like to the E911, we just get that money in and we turn around and send it to where it needs to go. Same with register, domestic abuse, and those type of things. That's those. We like to show you this one every year. It's the money, it's the fiduciary funds, so those are all the 700 funds. So that's your towns, townships, road districts, basically anybody that we're collecting property tax money for, or state revenue, so wind tax money, any of that shared revenue that we get in, and then we have to distribute out to those entities. So we, over the year, got $61 million in, sent back out again, 61 million. And so then it's always gonna have a fund balance because some of the money would come in, say in January, in December, but we don't send it out till January, so there's always gonna carry a little fund balance, but that just shows how much money is coming through our office throughout the year for other entities. That one. And then this is just the long-term debt. I'll show you the breakdown of that. We're sitting, at the end of the year, we had 5.8 million in long-term debt. It's broken down into the HVAC bond. That was things that were done over in the courthouse. So that, we don't have a lot of time left on that. That matures in 2029, 405,000. And then the jail, you'll see we've still got until 2037. And that shows you that amount due. And then based on accounting standards, any leases over a year are considered long-term debt. And so our community health rent, we do a 3-year lease with them, which will be up this November, so that gets carried in the books as long-term debt. So that's all I got. Is there any questions?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Bev, I'm guessing you're gonna take longer than 2 minutes?
Probably.
Okay, yeah, we've got our scheduled 9, so, Bob, can you get her in 2 minutes?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Last week, we attended the township meeting, which was a good event. Today, down in Sioux Falls, there's a National Weather Service flood outlook going on. I sent Richard down there to do that so I could come to this meeting. On March 5th, our zoning meeting's been changed. Typically, it would be tonight, but it was changed because all the townships are meeting tonight, and majority of our zoning board is on township board, so we switched that to Thursday night this month. March 12th, we've got a PPCC/pod meeting at the fire station, I believe. March 23 to 25, Department of Health's got a Healthcare Coalition Conference in Oklahoma. And March 24th, we've got our weather spotter training at the East Fire Station in Brookings. Everyone's invited. It's going to be standing room only probably, but we're going to do the best we can. And any questions?
Any questions for Bob?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
We're close enough. We have a scheduled, number 8, scheduled agenda item, 9 a.m. Eric Pauley from Xcel Energy, Community Relations Manager, South Dakota.
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm actually Randy Fordyce with Xcel Energy working on the project. Eric Hawley is in the back there. He is our community relations manager for South Dakota. So your main contact for really anything Xcel Energy related and including on this project. First off, thank you for inviting us here today and giving us some time to give you an update on the Power on Midwest project. It's always great to be in Brookings. I actually lived here in 2nd and 3rd grade before my parents moved to Iowa, so I love coming back and going to make sure I hit Nick's for lunch. Power on Midwest is a, do I have control of the slides? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, if you could move forward. Power on Midwest is a new high voltage transmission project that Xcel Energy and Otter Tail Power are proposing for the region. And a really important project. We're making progress on identifying things like routes and things like that. And I'll get to that in a second. But did want to give you kind of a background on the need for the project and our process going forward. Stacy? You know, one of the main things that we're really starting to see all energy companies in the region is that electric use is growing throughout the entire region, and that's putting stress on the system, particularly as we start looking forward in the 2030s and 40s, and the current electric system just won't have the capacity to reliably serve customers throughout South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. All states governed by the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, the regional operator of the high voltage transmission grid that keeps power reliable for all of our customers. This increase in electric use combined with changing technologies, expected power plant retirements, especially for those plants that were built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s that are just reaching the end of their useful life, in addition to that just kind of natural electric growth that we're seeing at a pretty significant projection, is just going to, our current system is not going to be able to deliver the amount of electricity necessary to keep the lights on when people flip the switch. And that's our number one priority, is making sure that when people need their power, it's there. Next slide, please. I mentioned MISO. This project in the Brookings area is part of a larger set of projects that MISO studied over the last number of years, looking at a variety of different scenarios, both high electric growth, mid-range and low-range electric growth, the types of plant retirements, where those locations, or where those retirements may occur, and the addition of new generation sources, whether it's new renewables, natural gas plants, other technologies that we aren't really sure of yet, much more dispersed than they were in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when the electric industry really started to develop in the United States over the last century. So in this area, as you can see, I'll talk about the green lines in a moment, but some of those gray lines are projects that are currently in progress. You'll see a gray line from Big Stone up to that dot near Alexandria, Minnesota. That is, that project will be approved sometime in the next couple of months and then start construction in about 2028. The orange lines that you see are 345 kilovolt lines, so pretty familiar with those. That's what the Brookings County to Hampton project that was built in 2015-2016 timeframe. Those are single pole 345 kV towers. And then what is being proposed now are those green lines. Those are 765 kilovolt towers. And I'll talk a little bit more about the technology and why the need for that technology makes the most sense in this region in a moment. But you'll see that it does connect at the Big Stone substation just outside of Big Stone City near the Otter Tail power plant. The Brookings substation that was built in the 2015-16 timeframe as part of the CapEx 2020 projects. And then on to Lakefield Junction, just outside of Jackson, Minnesota, then Pleasant Valley, southeast of Rochester, connecting to another substation north of Rochester called the North Rochester substation, and then extending into Wisconsin. What these projects all together will do is really connect the entire region in a way that hasn't happened in the last number of decades, to be able to deliver power where it's needed, when it's needed, as we start meeting this new kind of reality that we're looking at with plant retirements, electric growth, and the new generation being proposed throughout the region. Stacy, next slide, please. So, excuse me, overall, I want to just kind of walk through the benefits. utilities' number one job is to provide reliable, consistent power. When people turn on their lights, when they go to work, when they go to their shift at the factory, electricity is key, and it needs to be there. So that's our number one responsibility, is making sure that we can deliver power where it's needed, when it's needed. Access to existing cost-effective generation. South Dakota is no stranger to that. There's been a lot of development in recent years along the Buffalo Ridge and through North Dakota, South Dakota, and southwest Minnesota, and into northern Iowa as well. I think we're also going to start seeing a lot of more dispersed gas or storage or new other technologies that will also be dispersed and then be able to connect into the transmission system as those projects are sited. Access to, I mentioned natural gas plants, kind of those always available, always ready plants that we really depend on for the full reliability and steady system power flow that we need, as well as emerging technologies. I started working in the industry in 2001, and the types of technologies that we're seeing now that are becoming cost effective, we wouldn't even have imagined 20 years ago when I started, or 25 years ago when I started doing this kind of work. And then, of course, we're seeing a lot of agribusiness growth and advanced manufacturing, all really energy intensive and electricity intensive, particularly as plants automate and electrify. And so this will enable that kind of electric growth throughout the entire region as well. Next slide, please. Now, this slide admittedly gets a little wonky, but I did want to show kind of what we're looking at from a 20-year standpoint. As utilities, we have to plan for the future because these projects take a long time. Any type of utility project takes, years and decades in many cases to develop. So we look 15 to 20 years ahead when we are proposing projects. And if you look at kind of this slide, the demand in a gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts. For easy example is one wind turbine is generally about 2 megawatts. So that's the kind of scale at which the type of power is used, and 1 megawatt can power about 800 homes, just to give you kind of a flavor of that. So in this region, we're looking at a pretty significant expansion of demand with that year-over-year increase in power that we're expecting to occur. And we would not be able to serve, if you look at that orange line, if we don't build these projects, we wouldn't be able to reliably serve our customers without building a really new extensive transmission system to serve customers throughout the entire region. So next slide, please. Again, this gets a little wonky, and I'm not an engineer, but the way that our engineers study reliability is with power flows. And is there too much or too little power flowing on a transmission system? Because what that does, if there's too much, it can cause essentially a fault in the system somewhere, usually at a substation. So it's not as if something falls down or anything, but it does cut power to an entire area if either power flow is too high or too low. What these projects will do is mitigate that so that we have that steady state of power flowing through the system at all times, and we can get generation from where it's generated to the customers that eventually use it. Without these projects, we would be looking at about 1,300 megawatts not being served throughout this kind of immediate region. Again, 1 megawatt can power about 1,000 homes, and so you're looking at hundreds of thousands of homes that would not be served, and all of the associated businesses and developments without building this kind of project. So, next slide, please. And we included this slide because I think it really shows that, one of the things that we hear is, oh, you're just building this power to ship it off to the cities, and it doesn't, benefit South Dakota or rural areas as much. And what this shows is an example of a single day in February where we've got a lot of generation in the North and South Dakota and South Dakota areas. A lot of that power is flowing on the system to the east towards the cities, and then also down into Iowa as well. So at midnight and 7 a.m., pretty standard kind of low electric use times. But then when you flip to where our peak normally is in the evening hours, you would see that flow reverse. So we're actually getting a lot of power from the southern part of the MISO system, whether it's in Wisconsin, power coming from the Chicago area heading north into Minnesota and then eventually into the Dakotas. And this is just a one-day type of area or one-day situation. So that's how quickly power flows can change. Sometimes we think of things more along the lines of seasonal demand or things like that, but it's really at a daily basis where we see power moving and peaks moving from east to west or from north to south. In this part of the region, we're generally a winter peaking area. There's a lot of electric heat. There's a lot, so we have a lot of winter peaking as opposed to, summer air conditioning load and things like that that you would see in other parts of the region as well. So I just wanted to include that because I think it explains that it's not just for, shipping power from some area to another area. It really benefits the entire region. So next slide, please. So specifically on this project, I mentioned the substations we connected to, so I won't go into a lot of detail here. The blue areas that you see both in South Dakota and in Minnesota are the notice areas or study areas. In South Dakota, it's essentially an 8-mile wide area along the border between Brookings, or a little bit south of the Brookings substation and up to the Big Stone substation. We started looking in probably, the fall of 2025 to begin identifying potential routes to connect into those substations. Came out in late October with the first round of open houses in each of the counties. Wanted to make sure that we started asking for feedback on potential impacts. What are the areas that are sensitive? Here's how we do routing. We try to limit impacts to homes, to agriculture operations, things like that. Are there areas that are there things that are important to the community that we may not be aware of? And so just started asking those initial questions. Came back again in January with the second round of open houses where we presented some route options. And then, Stacy, were you able to get the map in there? Okay. Yeah. Yep. So I'll talk about that in a sec if we could go back to the notice area. Yeah, so these are some of the route options that we started looking at over the past couple of months. You'll see in a few areas we are still evaluating some different route options, multiple route options. And in this area, let's go ahead and skip forward to the next map. And then you can see a little bit more detailed area of the county, kind of where we're looking at on these route options. So the purple one would be the 765 kV route that would connect to a new substation southwest of the existing Brookings County substation. There's a lot of infrastructure already built around that substation with, I think, at least one, potentially two gas plants, another substation, and it's a really pretty hilly area, so we weren't able to find a location for the new substation. So we are working on locations further south than that with a 345 kV connection back to the existing Brookings substation, and then looking at two routes to exit from South Dakota into Minnesota to head towards that Lakefield Junction substation outside of Jackson that I mentioned. Go ahead to the next one, Stacy. So I mentioned, why 765 kV technology, and the towers that I think most people are used to seeing are the single pole 345 kV structures. They've served our system well. It's what we're used to building. It's what we're used to finding routes for. They're just not able to meet the need that we see coming in the future with all of those things that I've talked about over the past few minutes. 765 kV technology, because of the amount of electricity that will run through the tower or through the conductor, is just a lot more efficient. And you can see kind of an example here. A single 765 kV tower can deliver the same amount of energy as 3 double circuit 345 kV towers or 6 single circuit 345 kV towers. The amount of right-of-way for a single 345 kV tower is 150 feet. For the 765 kV tower, it's 250 feet. So 125 feet on either side of the line. If we were to deliver the same amount of electricity using 345 kV technology, we'd need 450 if we were building double circuit, or up to 900 feet of right-of-way for single circuit 345 kV towers. They wouldn't be placed, right next to each other. They'd be spread throughout the community, but it'd be a lot larger impact to a lot more landowners. And so that's one of the key reasons that we've selected 765 kV, in addition to the efficiencies of delivering with a higher voltage technology. So, next slide, please. A little bit more detail on the structures themselves. Because of the weight of the conductor, we do need to use lattice tower structures versus single pole structures that would be immensely tall if we were going to use single pole structures. These will be about 150 to 175 feet. I mentioned the 250 feet right of way, so 125 feet from the center of the structure. They would be on 4 posts with concrete foundations built in them, about 44 feet deep and about 5 per mile, so 1,100, 1,200 feet apart, depending on the topography. It's flat and straight, you can generally go quite a ways with structure spans. If it's hillier, if you have to make turns, those could be shorter as well. The next slide, please. All right, from a permitting perspective, the South Dakota does require us to submit a facility permit application to the South Dakota Public Utilities Commission. We will submit that by the fall of this year in September. And then we also have county level permits in each of the counties that this would go through, including Grant, Dual, and Brookings. And we would expect to submit those in early 2027. So after the kickoff of the South Dakota facility permit review. We'll I don't know a specific month, but I would say the first quarter of 2027 is when we would be back with that official permit application in Brookings County. Next slide, please. And just again, a little bit about our public engagement efforts. We've got a website. The URL is on the last slide that we'll see in a second, but we have held a couple of rounds of open houses. We're also starting to reach out directly to landowners within each of the counties that could be affected by the routes and just start having a little more individualized conversations about what this could look like and what the easement negotiation process is and things like that, learning a little bit more about each of their properties too. So next slide. And again, the route development, I showed that kind of 8-mile wide corridor in addition to, the current route proposals that we're looking at. As we start to look at those, route corridors, we narrow those down to preliminary routes, do some additional review on, homes or buildings that could be affected, how close all of those are, what are land use issues, are there federal or state lands that are in there, are there, is it generally agriculture, what kind of agriculture are we looking at? Is it livestock? Is it row crop? Those kind of things, so we can identify all of those. Identify a proposed route that we think minimizes the overall impacts to each project, and then come up with the final route that we propose in the facility permit to the PUC. As I mentioned, that'll be filed in September. Next slide, please. From a schedule standpoint, we're early in 2026, so we're just continuing to answer questions from landowners as questions come in, engaging with local governments throughout the area and developing that facility permit for the PUC. We'll file that, as I mentioned, in September. Expect about a year for that review, so we'd have a decision sometime in mid-2027, mid to late 2027, call it, and along with the county permits, assuming we do get approval in that time frame. Then we would begin negotiating easements with landowners late 2027, early 2028, and start doing design and engineering and construction, procurement of materials, and all of those kind of things, with construction in the 2030 to 2034 timeframe. And next slide. And that is it. We do have a website at poweronmidwest.com/South Dakota. People can email or call us at southdakota@poweronmidwest.com or the phone number up there. And we try to get back to people within about a day. If it's a fairly general question about what's the route or what's the process, where are you at in the process, that kind of thing. For some more substantive questions or difficult questions that we may not have a direct answer to, we'll engage with some of our experts to make sure we get the correct information. So ask people to be patient if it takes a couple of days for us to get back to them. But thank you for the time, and happy to answer any of your questions.
So I have a question about the towers, the 765 structures. Of course, I grew up in central South Dakota, all the towers coming from the Wahi Dam, headed east, headed west, headed all over. What scale are those compared to those metal towers that are going across Hughes County and all over in there?
Probably pretty similar. I'd say because the height on these is likely a little bit taller. I'm not sure of the specific project that you're referring to. Generally, lattice towers that were built in the 70s were probably in the 120 to 140 feet range, and these, as I mentioned, are probably around 150. So call it about 30 to 40 feet taller, maybe a little bit wider at the base as well.
Okay.
When do you plan on having your next round of community engagement?
Yeah, we thank you. Mr. Chair, Commissioner, we don't have any meetings currently scheduled. We are developing the application right now, but are always happy to come and meet with the board or answer any questions that people may have. I guess I could add one thing onto that. After we file the facility permit application, within 30 days, the South Dakota PUC does hold their first set of public meetings. So those would be, if we file in September, those would be held sometime in October.
Next question I have is, in Dual County currently, they just put in a 2,000-foot setback.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel that you'll be able to work with that and work with those landowners on that?
Sure, and Mr. Chair, Commissioner, we'll obviously meet all state, federal, and local regulations. That's part of our responsibility as companies. It does make for, when there are setback ordinances like that, it does make it difficult, we think, to find what could be the least impactful route. We always try to stay as far away from homes and buildings as we can, but we also try to follow field lines, section lines, things like that, so that we can, work with landowners and hopefully avoid some of the issues that may create. Setback ordinances can limit our flexibility in doing so. The fortunate part of their setback ordinances, there are waivers that we can get from landowners if we're going along a field line or a section line or something, as opposed to we need to be 2,000 feet away from a residence, and the only way to do that would be kind of going diagonally through a field or something along those lines, which isn't our preference. So we prefer to be able to work directly with landowners versus having some sort of restriction like that. But as I mentioned, we'll work with the laws that are in front of us.
The question I got is your permits through the PUC and the county. Which ones take precedence? Which ones first, and then do you have to have the county permits before you go to the PUC, and then also your easements with landowners? How does that all fit together?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, good question. The state, I'm not 100% familiar with state law, but we will file the facility permit with the PUC first and then file our applications with each county. Counties vary. I think Brookings county's CUP lasts for 3 years. Dual and Grant, I think, are 1 year with potential extension. So we kind of time things because we want to make sure that a CUP will lead us to construction, so we don't have to come back and go through the process again. The state permits do supersede local ordinances in most cases, but the South Dakota PUC is also very deferential to local officials and prefer that we're able to work through any issues as opposed to asking them to kind of weigh in or step in on things. So, so from a timing perspective, it would be the state permit while that's in process, because it takes at least a year or so. We would then file with each county for conditional use permits.
And you would have easements in place when you would file with the county then?
No, we would be negotiating easement options, knowing that there could be some route adjustments. The South Dakota PUC likes us to have up to 70% easement options with landowners. And so we're going to start that process fairly soon to start talking with landowners. And then, but we would expect permits to be issued before all easements are secured, I think is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, I think that's from the commission. I think that's good.
Okay,
I appreciate
great.
your time.
Again, thank you for your time. Any questions you have, obviously the website's got a lot of information for both you and your constituents, including an interactive map where people can both see and drop in questions directly on the map. I should have mentioned that. A phone number and email, again, are staffed each day, so we try to get people information as quickly as we can. And if there's any time that you'd like us to come back and present, we're happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the added number B under our scheduled agenda item for public comment, we would ask a 5-minute time limit on each public comment. If you would come up, state your name and where you live in Brookings County, and then we will keep them to as close to 5 minutes as we can. So we will open up the public comment.
Thank you. My name is Steve January. I live in Dual County. I live and farm in a half section of land 3 miles west and a mile and a half south of Gary. Just for introduction, my land was eminent domained by the CapEx 2020 project, so I have a 345 kilovolt poles on my property. Where it crosses the road is 946 feet from my house. When I drive a tractor underneath it and I'm listening to KWAT radio for weather alerts, it statics out. I can't imagine what a 765 volt line would static, how far away that would on the radio. And I use the radio obviously for weather alerts. The tornadoes we had on June 28th of last year destroyed the farm just a mile south of my house. The picture of the power line, talking about the dimensions, what I have is a 175 foot tall, which is 10 foot taller than the chimes on the campus down here, which I'm told is 165 foot tall. And there'd be a spread of 150 feet, approximately 2,500 square feet of land taken out of service underneath the pole, each pole, so about a quarter acre per mile of land would be rendered useless, basically. Other than talking about whether the line is needed or not, you know, they're talking about data centers in Dual County, and there were testimonials how we have an excess of electricity in Dual County, not only in Dual County, but northeastern South Dakota. The data center guy said, well, basically, we're going to suck up some of this electricity and lower your rates. There's currently a wind project in Brant on hold because they can't find a buyer for the electricity. At the county commission meeting a couple of meetings ago, Otter Tail had representatives there, and one of the questions I asked was, you know, the Big Stone Power Plant is scheduled for closure, retirement around 2040. I said, what are your plans after that? They kind of looked at each other. There were 6 of them there, and they said, well, we don't really know that. Well, the gentleman here just said they look out at least 20 years in advance. So we all know they can't build a fossil fuel plant in Minnesota, so we're exporting all this power to the Twin Cities. I'm here to encourage you to pass this 2,000-foot setback. I'd like to call your attention to this British Columbia Medical Journal study that I have. This was in November 2008. This was published. In the interest of time, I'd like to call your attention to the second page, to the paragraph that I have bracketed. And I'd like to read it quickly. However, a more recent study showed an elevated risk of leukemia among children living in homes in distances much greater than the 60 meters from high voltage power lines. This study involved close to 30,000 matched case control pairs of children living in the United Kingdom. It was found that children living in homes as far as 600 meters, 600 meters, by the way, is 1,968.5 feet, from power lines had an elevated risk of leukemia. An increased risk of 69% for leukemia was found for children living within 200 meters of power lines, while an increased risk of 23% was found for children living within 200 to 600 meters of the lines. This study was notable in that it found some elevation of risk much greater distances than previous studies. And if you look at the third page, that's all the links that they had and the resources that they had. Otter Tail at a Dual County Commissioners meeting had a doctor there from out east someplace. I'm sure he wasn't there on his own dime, but he said basically, oh, this is not true. There is absolutely no risk of anything by living next to high voltage power lines. Well, if you look at all these references, among them I think the Centers for Disease Control and so forth, I think you could probably find a doctor, if you didn't look too hard, that would challenge that. Just like 20 years ago, they told us that New York City and Washington, D.C. was going to be underwater due to climate change. Now, that might not be all bad, but we know that that isn't going to happen. Okay, so among other things, I am here to encourage you to pass this ordinance.
All right, Steve, I think your time is up.
I couldn't have another.
You can finish with your last statement.
Okay. The last thing is, and Mary Noshbush was going to be here, but she had family commitments. And that stray voltage for water with dairy cattle study was done by veterinarians in Wisconsin, over 800 dairy farms. And there is a relationship between high voltage power lines and stray voltage that dairy cattle were hesitant to drink. And we all know that if dairy cattle don't drink, they don't milk. So that's another thing. I do thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Greetings.
Please state your
I'm-
name for me, please.
I'm sorry?
Please state your name.
I'm Sue Engelman, and I live in Brookings County. I am by trade, I am an electronics engineering technologist, and I have worked at the hospital as a biomedical technician for many years. I'm asking the Brookings County Commissioners to match the dual county zoning setback requirements that transmission lines with voltage greater than 345 kilovolts must have a setback of 2,000 feet from any inhabited residence in all zoning districts. This includes, but not limited to, support structures greater than 100 feet tall or the base diameter of 20 feet, or 25 feet, or a wingspan of 30 feet. I am speaking on behalf of saving our county from this monster power-on Midwest transmission line that will only benefit Minnesota. This transmission line is proposed to run from Big Stone Power Plant south to Brookings County and then east to their destinations in Minnesota. As Power on Midwest information sheets state, the plan was started in 2025 and the expected Power on in-service date is 2034. Big Stone Power Plant is slated to be retired, shut down between 2040 and 2046 because it is a coal-fired power plant and not a green energy power plant. This would allow for only 6 to 12 years of service. I attended the Brookings Dual County Commissioners meeting and also spoke directly to Power on Midwest representatives when they were at the information meeting in Brookings. When asked what the future plans of replacing Big Stone Power Plant was, they said they didn't have plans yet. If this project is taking 9 years to plan and power up, one would think they would already have plans for replacement power sources if they are building the largest power transmission lines available to this date. Each of the 765,000 volt, better known as the 765 kV towers, will be close to 50 foot wide at the height of its 175 foot, and the width is 150 foot. They are saying they need 250 feet of right-of-way around each tower. This means that all trees, vegetation, pollinators, and animals will be uprooted, and death and land erosion will be what remains around those areas forever. To put the size of the power towers in perspective, our own Brookings SDSU Coughlin Campanile, the face of the South Dakota State University, stands 165 foot tall. That means that each of the 765,000 volt tower structure is actually 10 foot taller than the Campanile, with 5 power tower structures per mile or more. There is constant noise emanating from the 760 kV power transmission lines and also a red light flashing on each tower at night. The largest power lines currently in South Dakota are the 345 kV transmission lines. As large as those existing towers are, the 765 kV are much larger. The closest 765 kV lines to South Dakota are located in Illinois. If you have or care about any young children, or even yourself, please assist us in fighting these power lines and the AI data centers in our glorious state of South Dakota. We are killing our earth with these types of things. What will our children and grandchildren have to live with? If we don't stop this now, there will be no opportunity to turn this around and have our natural resources unharmed. These companies are telling us there are no harmful effects from any of these structures. I beg to differ. They are selling us the moon while we are selling out our children and their futures if we let this travesty go unstopped. Power on Midwest states there have been studies over a 40-year period funded by the WHO and other organizations. However, they do not tell you that they are only short-term studies with outcomes that are planned, not a 40-year study that shows actual negative health impacts. These studies are funded by industry-influenced parties and not independent studies made without gain to those that are paying for the studies. I brought up this fact to the Power on Midwest representatives, and when pressed, Power on Midwest admitted that any of the above-mentioned studies were only done on the smaller 345 kilovolt transmission lines and not with the 765 kilovolt transmission lines. Power on Midwest has no long-term or short-term health detriment studies on the 765 kilovolt transmission lines, since the 765 transmission lines haven't been around for 40 years yet.
Sue, can you wrap up? You're at 5 minutes.
I have it. Mankind and womankind are electrical beings. Our bodies act like an energy wave broadcaster and receiver, incorporating and responding to EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. In fact, scientific research has demonstrated that every cell in your body may have its own EMF, helping to regulate important functions and keep you healthy. Strong artificial EMFs like those from power lines can scramble and interfere with your body's natural EMF, harming everything from your sleep cycles and stress levels to your immune response and DNA. Again, I ask for the 2,000-foot setback. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Hi, I'm Janai White. I'm from Aurora. And I just have a few comments to make. And I guess the first thing I back up, the other people with, please consider a 2,000-foot setback. What this gentleman from Dual County said terrifies me. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. I've seen cancer rates skyrocket. And so now we're going to add this in, and it terrifies me. I know that they say that this is, for the betterment of our community, but when you guys when they showed the benefits of this and that it's going to benefit Brookings County or it's going to benefit us, that kind of went over my head a little bit because I'm not sure how. I'm probably a little bit more open to it, but if it's going to benefit Minnesota, Illinois more than us, I guess that's where my question is. How is it truly going to benefit us? The other thing is there's another family from the Elkton area. They couldn't be here today. She said it's going to be in their backyard. She said, we moved out into the country, so we didn't have to deal with any of this. And now here it is going to be in our backyard, and there is nothing we can do about it. So I think there's a lot of frustration in our county. So I just hope that you really listen to people and really hear their concerns. And the last thing for this company, I did go to their open house. They could not answer any of my questions. I did get more questions answered from the gentleman here from Dual County. When I asked her, well, tell me, how is this going to affect us? She couldn't answer. When I said, tell me, is this going to be going through Aurora, Volga, Elkton? She had no idea where any of these towns were. So I'm just going to tell you guys, when you guys come to Brookings County, you better do a little research and know where your towns are and the places where it's affected, because that was very frustrating that I took and again, this isn't venting towards you, it's venting towards these guys, that I take my time and I'm gonna learn about this at the open house, and she could not answer any of my questions. She said she's from Minneapolis and she didn't know. So, thank you.
Thank you, Janaya. Nope.
Thank you. My name is Charlie Fenster, and I'm a resident of Brookings. I just want to make a short point that the last mile of the proposed route in Brookings County, the last mile going north, abuts the Oak Lake Field Station, which does a tremendous amount of community outreach, including hunting for wounded warriors, junior hunts, muzzle loading for the public. And we do have controlled burns. And these burns are not only to control for wooding encroachment on the property, but we conduct a very successful, I'm speaking as a public citizen, they conduct a very successful fire academy, which trains property owners as well as people from local agencies on how to conduct a safe prescribed burn. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Little Wayne Junkie. I live across the road from the SDSU field station by Oak Lake. Quite colorful name to the place where I live, what used to be there. When I went to the meetings and everything, I had some questions. I called the Brookings zoning office, and they were very, very good. They did not look down at me and everything, because even of the stupid questions I had, I have talked to members of this board. They have returned my phone calls promptly. Thank you. You should, if you're gonna get up here and talk, you should know what you're talking about. You guys have helped me. I was literally amazed. Brookings County was zoned in 1976. And so then I said, well, what do you have on the books for protection for not our houses, our homes from these transport lines? Nothing. 50 years. Why? Well, because they have not been of this magnitude. Well, they are now. We need protection. We need protection from the commissioners, the zoning offices. The 2,000 foot, in my opinion, is a start in the right direction anyway. When you look at their literature that they have provided for us, they said they're going to send certified letters to landowners, homeowners within a half mile of the proposed lines. Half mile is over the 2,000 feet that we're asking for. So they're already admitting that there's going to be the adverse whatever from this line within that more than probably any other place. Obviously, the closer you are to it, the more it's going to affect you. So I ask that the board consider this 2,000 foot. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to give public comment? All right. I thank everybody that has given public comment. We will be moving on to our department head reports, back to our department head reports with Register of Deeds.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have my 2025 report for the business and revenue generated from our office. And the first page that we're looking at is the 2024 and 2025 comparison. I like to kind of compare and see how we've done. Actually, this year we are over, we have a plus of $66,501.50 over the business that we did in 2024. So 2025, a lot of that revenue came from transfer fees. And transfer fees are based on $1 per thousand of the purchase price of any deed that comes in, of any real estate that has been sold. A transfer fee or an exempt code has to be on any deed, and like I said, it's based on $1 per thousand of the purchase price. And in 2025, we did $289,555 on transfer fees. And then the general fees, which is the next line, $144,686. And what is included in general fees is the $30 flat fee that we charge for any document that is recorded in our office. And also in that is UCC financing statements. And if we ever had any location notice, which we had none in 25, that would be included in that. But it's solely then the recording fee and the UCCs. Next line is marriage licenses, and $8,920 was brought in. That is the only line that is on the negative. We sold less marriage licenses in 25 than we did in 24. We sold 223 marriage licenses at $40 a piece. Certified copies is $41,775, and that includes any birth, death, and marriage certified copies that we issued. We issued 2,785 at $15 each. The last line in that is copies, and that includes, it's called PTs, and Farm Service here in Brookings and Farm Credit Service in Watertown purchases them every month, and it also includes any copies that the title companies purchase, and that is $4,859. What Farm Service Agency and Farm Credit Service pays is just a minimal, it's 20 cents a copy. And the title companies currently in resolution is 15 cents a copy. We had an increase overall, like I said earlier, at $66,501.50. The next section is a breakdown of the general fees and the filing fees. UCCs are in there. And then the next section is a breakdown of the certified copies of birth, death, and marriage. The next section is the general fees, and then the tech fee that is taken out of those general fees. In 2012, the legislature passed the bill that $5 of that $30 flat fee would go for the Register of Deeds office technology. We are the library of the county that has to keep all the records from homesteading times and keep them secure and available, so to speak, available for the public, because our records room is open to the public. But it has the paper copies of the old records fade and get in bad shape, and that's why last year I did a scanning to keep for digital to keep them safe and that future generations can access them. That all comes out of that tech fee. It's $5 out of the $30 fee, and $3 of that actually just stays in the county. $2 of it goes to the South Dakota Association of County Officials. And in August of each year, it is divided, that money is divided into 66 different checks for every county. That is to protect the smaller counties that do not generate as many documents as we bigger counties do. They have the same problem that we do in keeping their documents safe. Some of the counties, when we started this, did not even have a copy machine or a scanner. they had to go to another office to get that. So we needed to do something to help, provide a way that the entire state will stay safe in that area. Anyway, so you'll notice on that fourth section there where it says general fees, it says plus $4,010.02 from the SDACO. That's that check that every county received this past August. After that, I've got it more detailed for everything that we do, and we send out of that the vital records, the certified copies. The county's share is $5 for each birth certificate, $10 for each, or $5 for each death certificate, and $15 for the entire marriage certificate. The state gets $10 of the birth and death certified copies. From the marriage licenses, our local domestic abuse shelter gets $30 from the $40 that we collect. So that, basically, that stays in our county, but it is by law that we have that $30 split out, and then the county's share is $10. So at the very bottom is, of that $489,795 that we brought in, $450,821 actually stays in the county. The next sheet is, it's just a breakdown that I keep of every month of what we take in, and that's where I got my total for the year, basically. But I thought that maybe you would like to see that breakdown. And then the third one is just a comparison, and I forgot to change the totals on the top. It's 2024 and 2025, not 2023. But that's just a breakdown of how many mortgages, deeds, miscellaneous, the number of records and the number of pages. I basically also keep the number of pages because one of the title companies does purchase the documents from us every month, and title companies are charged by page. We cannot charge the title companies any more than it costs to produce that. So that's some minimal fee, but I do have to keep track of how many pages that is. So I guess any questions?
Thank you very much for your hard work, Bev. Great information here.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Bev.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think we missed any department heads, so we'll move on to number 9, regular business. Action to approve resolution number 26-07, resolution declaring a fire danger emergency in Brookings County and prohibiting open burning. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
For discussion purposes, I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Comments? What do you got?
With the recent snowfall, I don't think we need this. If we look back to last Thursday when we were putting the agenda together, the conditions were a lot different than they were Saturday morning. We felt it wasn't necessary just to talk about it. I did see that south of here, and they had a bad fire here last week, and that's something we all need to take in consideration. I've said this before at previous meetings, but if we're doing controlled burns, our citizens in our county just have to do a good job of monitoring them from start to finish. My concern, the way Bob does it now with the red flag warning thing, that works. It works very well. My only concerns with that is, if you have a fire that's not quite out, yesterday and tomorrow was a red flag warning day, that's when we see problems. So citizens in the county, just please pay attention to controlled burns. Thank you.
I echo Commissioner Vanderwall's concerns, and just please, if you're going to do some burning, please call into the dispatch center and report that you are doing that. It kind of gives them a heads up, and maybe if something happens that gets away, they already kind of know where you're at. So please call in if you're doing any open burning.
Commissioners,
Yes, sir, Sheriff.
I talked to Dave Jacobson, and he echoed what you guys are saying. He didn't think at this present time with the moisture we got that it was necessary, so.
All right. So to remove this, does the
You have a motion and second, just vote it down.
Just vote it down? All right. So since we have a motion and a second, we will take a roll call vote. So go ahead and call the roll, please.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Nay?
Vanderwall,
No.
Post,
No.
Hostler,
No.
motion fails.
Moving on. Number B, action to approve resolution 26-08, a resolution establishing fees to be paid by licensed abstractors for uncertified copies of record documents in the Registered of Deeds office. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move. Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any comments? Bev, do you have any comments?
The present resolution is quite old, and can you come up to the microphone? The resolution that is in place now is quite old, and it's at 15 cents a copy. By inflation and everything that has happened, like our Doc Pro system, the maintenance has almost doubled. The fee has almost doubled. So it's costing more for us to produce these records for them, which by law it says that we can charge what it costs to produce us the records.
Do you know when the last one was put in place?
2007.
2007, so 20 years, just 19 years ago.
Yep,
Okay,
when I came in office.
you bet. All right. And across the other counties, is this about what average of what they do?
I did make do an email to the other counties, and some charge like 40 cents, and some charge 25 cents, some charge 15 cents yet.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Bev? All right, thank you very much. So where are we? Hearing no other comments, call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter C, action to approve Agreement 26-21, the State of South Dakota Department of Public Safety Office of Emergency Management 2025 Local Emergency Management Performance Grant. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Bob?
Yes, this agreement, if it's approved, will allow them to pay us for our fiscal year 2025 reimbursements for mine and Richard's LEMPG, that reports that we've been submitting to peer. The money had been held up, and I don't know if you had a chance to read all the 100 of articles that they've got, but it's a standard thing for any federal grant. And of course, this is a federal grant brought in through the state of South Dakota, so we have to, if we want the money, we have to sign the document.
All right. Does anybody have any comments or questions? All right. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
Hearing no comments or other comments, call the roll, please.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Letter D, action to approve abatement 26-02, an abatement application made by Brookings Municipal Utilities for parcel number 04000-11049-291-00 in the amount of $2,409.53. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter E, action to approve abatement 26-03, an abatement application made by Brookings Municipal Utilities for parcel 40071-00100-002-00 in the amount of $38.04. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter F, action to approve abatement 26-5, an abatement application made by Clarence G. Lems for parcel 09100-11247-272-09 in the amount of $883.54. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter G, action to approve abatement 26-08, an application for a late elderly and disabled assessment freeze. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments?
This falls under state law where the county commission can accept a late elderly tax freeze, normal due date April 1st.
Do I have any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter H, action to approve abatement 26-09. Didn't we just do that one? Nope. I am wrong. Yep. Yep. We're due 09. Okay. Action to approve abatement 26-09, an application for late elderly and disabled assessment freeze. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Comments?
This would be the same state law allows the county commission to approve an application past the normal deadline.
Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter I, action to approve all annual weed chemical bids for 2026 as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments?
The bids were open on February 17th, and the board typically approves all bids in case there's issues with availability.
Do we know, has anything changed much from year over year?
I don't have that information.
I was
It's in
just
the
going to
right-hand
point that
column.
out. Jenna Baker from the finance office. On the third column of each, well, the third column on nutrient, but on the very far right column, you will see what the increase was from last year's chemicals. It all looks to be slight increase. But as Stacy mentioned, in years past, the board has always approved all of the chemical bids just to ensure that availability is not an issue.
All right. Any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Post?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Letter J, action to approve request to fill vacancy for part-time female corrections officer in the detention center. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter K, action to declare the following items as surplus property to be disposed of as part of the HVAC and boiler project for the government center. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments?
Our project is underway now for the building, and there's just a number of items that need to be surplused and disposed of.
Do we have any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Letter L, discussion on 214th Street, County Road 16A from 34th Avenue to Aurora city limits, limiting truck traffic. I'd open that up for discussion from the commission.
Yeah, Commissioner Vanderwall and myself talked about this. We had some concerns. A couple weeks ago, we posted load limits out on the stretch of road. With the weather as it's been, warm weather, cold weather's thaw, and then it gets cold. There was significant damage that occurred, I believe, before we actually put the 7-ton per axle load limit signs up. With most of the damage is kind of concentrated on, about 85% of it's concentrated on the eastbound lane. And I don't feel that the 7-ton per axle posting is sufficient. I mean, with the 7-ton per axle, you could still have a potential of having almost 100,000-pound truck on that stretch of road if you had 7 axles. So I guess in my opinion, I suggest putting up either no trucks or no through trucks but I know enforcement is an issue. I've talked to Dan with the state's attorney, and also how we could actually control this. We're not out to get anybody. We just kind of want to get the word out to the community that we just would hope they could find an alternate route for the next couple months here while the road is going through the thaw process. We kind of like to protect our investment out there, and I guess my recommendation would try to keep as many trucks off there as possible. So that's kind of my suggestion.
I'll echo Commissioner Jensen's thoughts there. You know, just a few short years ago, this was a township road, and the county's taken it over, put a huge investment in that. And then we had it blotted last summer, so we're just trying to protect that investment. Not trying to get anybody, but we just ask, kind of like the fire ban. We ask residents. Sorry about that. We just ask residents or truck drivers, whatever, just to stay off that road. Yeah, that's my comments.
Brian, has the damage and stuff been repaired?
With the weather and the lack of products being produced right now, no repairs have been made. There are plans this summer when it's conducive to do that type of repair work to take place. It's going to take place with our patching project.
I did take a picture the other day. This is typical in that eastbound lane. As you can see, it's pretty ripped up out there. The application that we used out there, we tried to accomplish a couple things, mainly the dust and the washboards that were out there, and we did that. But unfortunately, we knew we'd have some soft spots and some breakups, but this year's been a little bit different type of spring, and this is the result of it.
So as of right now, we have 7-ton?
7-ton. If we would choose to do a no trucks or no through trucks, we would have to do a resolution. We'd have to advertise and go through that whole process. So Brian indicated to me that he could order the signs today, and we could actually put those up. They wouldn't be enforceable till if we pass a resolution. So.
Okay. Is that kind of your recommendation to what would be your recommendation, Brian?
I mean, that's kind of up to you guys as far as whether no-through trucks or, you know, trucks that are allowed to enter and exit properties along that road. But, you know, discussing with Commissioner Jensen on that, I don't see a whole lot of that going on along this road with folks also being able to use the alternative routes and things of that nature. But whatever you guys so choose, I mean, it would take a little time to get the signs in,
Brian,
obviously.
Is there a minimum weight that you would allow on this road?
A minimum? I mean, that's another alternative, I guess, if the commission wanted to.
And the only reason I'm asking is the enforceability by the sheriff's office would be better if our sign had a minimum weight, because there's a specific
Or a
class 2.
maximum weight?
Yeah, or maximum weight, sorry. In terms of the enforceability on the ticketing side for the sheriff's deputies that would be enforcing this, there's a specific class 2 misdemeanor that would fit within if we just did a maximum weight rather than doing no trucks at all. It would be better if we did a maximum weight. So that would be my preference.
The issue there, Dan, would be that the sheriff's office does not have any scales. So it'd be hard to enforce a maximum weight unless they actually took them to a scale. That's what I mean. Enforcement here is an issue.
Yeah, and we might have to, if that's the alternative, we might have to draft a specific ordinance then, because the penalty side of the enforceability would be kind of where we have the authority to do it, but we would have to formulate the penalty associated with that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because right now we don't necessarily have that. We have something for weight, but not for no trucks at all.
I did talk to the highway superintendent in Kingsbury County. They have a similar situation going to Norden on one of their county roads, and they did put some no-through trucks on that route. But basically, what they have done is stop some of those trucks, talk to the truck drivers, and they've had good success with just talking to those truck drivers and keeping them off the road. But they do have in their back pocket, if somebody would continue to abuse their signs, they would fine them, I guess.
So enforcement would require coordination with the highway patrol, or what are we talking?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, if
I mean, every
How about-
year, when we go to limiting our township roads, or I mean our county roads, but the highway patrols spread thin to get them to come in and actually want to, have the time to work it. So it's a whole new ballgame when you got weights. My deputies aren't trained for weights. It takes training to do that, and so forth. So I'd rather see what Commissioner Jensen's talking about Kingsbury is we put up signs and try to educate the public to stay off that. We can have deputies around there and warning, something maybe for the future we need to and maybe invest in some digital signs too, so that we got some portable signs to put up for things like this. I know that gets to be expensive too, but I don't want to start weighing trucks. I'm sorry.
Just put a sign up that says scale ahead, they'll turn and go
There
the
you
other
go.
way around.
I have an old feed scale I can probably put along the road.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Well, I think it's a good idea to do something to protect our investment out there with that road that we put into that. I think we need some more clarity on no-through trucks. What's that mean? I mean, does that mean me with my one-ton truck and Bobcat on there that you can't go there? What's a truck? I don't.
And that's where we would have to draft an actual ordinance for no-through trucks with penalty.
Right, if we were actually going to enforce it. We have the authority to do it, we just got to figure out what the penalty is.
And we don't, as of right now, we don't have an ordinance that.
Not specific
Local
to
traffic.
no-through trucks, so.
Okay.
I think sometimes the situations are just, communication. We talk to a particular construction company or a supplier of something, and they understand that, but they don't always get that information to the, employee X, Y, and Z. it's an education thing. And it just got to keep getting educated because new truck drivers, that kind of stuff. But
Okay. Any other comments or concerns? All right.
Do you have any direction you want us to go so that staff kind of knows what next steps might be?
I guess my recommendation would go with the no trucks. If Dan can figure out a penalty part on a resolution that we could possibly pass to move forward.
And then possibly define, because I don't think we're looking at limiting 1-ton pickups, pulling campers, pulling trailers with equipment. We're talking more Class A, Class B haul trucks.
Well, and that's why I was suggesting we do a maximum weight, because there's already a statute in place that if the county commission regulates a county road regarding a maximum weight, the sheriff's deputies can cite to a specific statute that's already on the books as a Class 2 misdemeanor. So I understand the no through trucks, but if we go that direction, we're going to have to draft an ordinance with specific language, specific penalties. If we go maximum weight as a resolution, we can cite to a specific statute on the books. So,
Dan, would you recommend maybe just amending the resolution that we passed earlier this year in regards to the axle weight limit? Maybe amend just this segment of roadway, maybe to 5-ton per axle.
is that what you're suggesting on this road be the maximum weight?
I mean, or whatever the commission would decide. I just threw that number out there as a filler, but maybe that would be a way to.
Yeah, I would have to see that.
It's
I can't recall it
resolution
off the top of my head.
2605, I believe.
Okay.
Would that be able to put that on the next agenda then?
Yeah, as long as we can fit within the noticing requirements, I'll take a look at it. Okay.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
5-ton, a good number?
4 or 5.
Yeah, and just have your signs reflect that number.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So then we'll look at doing that, and if we can notice it for the next, update that next, and notice it for the next meeting, then we'll have that on the next meeting.
Sounds good.
So. All
Do
right.
you does the commission still desire to put the signs up in order for the sheriff to help educate, even though we wouldn't necessarily have a?
I mean, if we go with the 4 or 5 ton, I think that the sheriff's deputies would be able to, with their common sense, would be able to warn, talk to the truck driver, say, hey, I know you're overweight, could you please not use this route in the future? At least for a couple months till it allows. While the signs are, you got the signs up, we just have to change the tonnage. I think that would help go a long ways with educating the public on it.
Education and deterrence with the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, are resolutions enforceable, or is it I'm struggling with resolution versus ordinance. So we can enforce a resolution, we can write a ticket on a resolution?
Well, I don't believe resolutions have penalties. They don't have a penalty, and that's the biggest part of it. And if we do an ordinance, it doesn't limit it to just that road. We could, there's been issues south of Volga and things like that where we might be able to implement things like that as well. But our resolutions don't have penalties, is that correct, Dan?
Well,
Well, they do.
Or what would be the penalty be for that, something like that?
Yeah, so we have the authority to regulate the weight on roads, so the county commission can take action. If there's a violation of that weight limit on that road after the commission has taken action, there's a specific statute that allows you to cite to a Class 2 misdemeanor. So I guess to your question, the noticing of the weight limits on those roads, I guess, is something Stacy and I can visit about as to what the proper notice is to get the public to be aware of what. I think the sign is probably the best way. I think we'll go through the formal noticing process as it relates to the resolution. But once that sign's in place on the road, then it triggers that statutory framework, is my understanding. So.
And that would be kind of like speeding penalties doubled for speeding in construction zones, something like that. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, and the statutes I sent to Commissioner Vanderwall and Jensen, I list the specific statute I'm referring to as the commission's ability to regulate weight on roads. So we'll notice it under that.
Okay.
I think this is, just this discussion right here is a start in the right direction with informing the public. I'm sure Mondale will have something in the paper and show our concerns. So, this is, right here is a good start.
Yeah, and then if later on, if we do need to draft an ordinance, or if we can possibly draft something and not implement it, or that in the event that this doesn't work. So, very good. All right, moving on. Letter M, Commission's projects information for discussion only.
In the packet was kind of the updated commission projects budget that we had. If you recall, when the county received some ARPA dollars, we did what we needed to do with those dollars that we could be spending them on these various projects that we have listed out. Some of the requirements that they had kind of a long-term impact. It was the fire department's just basic safety things. So you can see what we've spent dollars on dating back to 2022. This money right now is just part of fund balance. So I think it is part of Jennifer's report earlier in the meeting. And just that unassigned fund balance would have included this approximately just a little over $800,000 that we have left. There's no obligation for the commission to spend these funds in a particular manner. It can stay right where it's at and be used for anything and everything moving forward, however the commission decides and sees fit. But I wanted you to see where we were at with that based on the spreadsheet. A couple things that have come up is, I know Bob wants to speak to like a generator for emergency management. And then 2 weeks ago, the Elkton ambulance was in with a request, and I don't know, my impression was that it wasn't, I think some of that was for 2027, and you could direct them to do a budget request for 2027, but I think some of that request was, more immediate. Bernice Stufen did reach out to me after the meeting and got me some quotes for the radios that they're asking, that they were discussing, and then the training that they were discussing. It's for 3 of their radios, it's just over $16,000 for the training. It was $500 for each member, so that came to about $6,500. So those were a couple recent things that can come up with. And Bob, I don't know, if you want to talk about the generator?
Yeah, on this list here on the left-hand column, it shows fire station / EOC generator for $28,750. That was initially designated to help the city hook up our ex-county city generator. That's been hooked up already, so they don't need our financial funding on that. with the new fire chief that came in. And then at the 2025, where it says OAC generator, I always thought that that was part of emergency management, getting a 50 kilowatt generator on a trailer so we could take it wherever it was needed to include the OAC. But since I've understood that the OAC may have a backup generator system already hooked up, which I'll have to verify, but the city definitely has their EOC generator hooked up at the East Fire Station. So my thoughts are we probably need about a 50 kilowatt generator for emergency management to use anywhere in the county in case of a major disaster. If we do have a disaster, the chances of renting one immediately is going to be slim and next to none. We'll be able to get one sooner or later through state aid, but it'll take us up to a month to get one in. So the latest quote, and we put that 50,000 down because it was basically 1,000 for kilowatt, but the last quote I got last week was it's about $59,500 now for a 56 kilowatt generator on trailer.
And we don't currently have a generator on a trailer, or we do, it's just smaller?
We've got an 18 kilowatt
Okay.
generator.
It was under my assumption, yeah, that we were gonna purchase a generator for the OAC to be permanent, because it was gonna be named a shelter out there. I believe it is wired, that it can be hooked up. It just needs to need to purchase a generator.
I think what the director had indicated to me is that there is a generator that is already there and hooked up. We need to verify that.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one out there, or I thought we were gonna be moving some around and using one and putting it somewhere, if I remember right, we were gonna be buying a new one and moving one and kind of doing some juggling just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, our 18 kilowatt one was used by the sheriff before 25 years ago. It was given to the emergency management office because we had rented it for so long for the sheriff's office. So that generator is getting to be the point, one of these days we're gonna go out there to start it and it's just not gonna go anywhere. I do feel we need a backup generator, and, but, yeah, I was on the assumption if we needed to use the OAC as a shelter, we would, because during the 2022 derecho, we used our 18 kilowatt over at the East Fire Station for the EOC. But since then, that's been rectified with the generator that we put out there. So I don't know where that the OAC's got a generator, so we do need to look into that one.
Yeah, I just know I know
about the hookups, yep.
I know we did the hookups, because we thought we could possibly rent one from a contractor, and that was.
Or bring my emergency management one down there if we had to.
Correct. And Bob, I'm not sure on this Elkton request, if there's any grants out there for radios. You weren't here the week that they came in and gave their presentation, but I'm not sure if there's anything out there for that.
Well, each fire department can put in a grant for the Homeland Security grant request, but I've got over 10 counties now all on the eastern side, to include Minnehaha and Lincoln. Chances of us getting any money through Homeland Security is going to be slim this year.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Was there any other direction on the Elkton, or just tell them to apply for the 2027 budget? Or what direction? I think they were probably looking for some answers sooner rather than later.
And I know when they left, we did task them with getting solid numbers in a.
And I have those.
And you do have those.
Yes.
I think somewhat of Elkton's, what they presented was to, like our fire departments, they have an annual budget that they put towards us. I think they're kind of leaning towards that. Their need, yeah, they have a need right now. It's kind of, this is the only area where we would be able to take the money out of. But do we consider it at budget time, or do we take the funds out of here?
And just to be clear, these funds are not set aside anywhere. These are part of your unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
This is not a separate fund, anything. I mean, it's been just that long now that everything, and it never was. I mean, it was always, I think we had maybe assigned some of it initially when we had some of those bigger projects. But now, we haven't had anything now for a couple of years, so it is just fund balance. So you don't really need to stick to what you see in front of you. It's kind of irrelevant, I think. I think it's just what you want to do and when you want to do it.
And historically, the commission projects funds have been not for staffing and things, and payroll and things like that, but more structured
Initially,
assets, correct?
initially, there was some of that money used for salaries, initially. After that, it was for projects that were, we really concentrated on the emergency services. As you can see, I think all of the fire departments submitted some requests that were granted. We have done we've done ambulances for Elkton and for White. We did some of our long-term things, again, things that were going to be, long-term projects. We put some money for the courthouse roof. Some of the money was for a generator for this building, to run this building. It's been used for a variety of things, but like I said, at this point, it's just part of fund balance. So I guess right now, it's just going to be a management decision on the commission's part on how you want to handle this type of request, if you want to handle it, and want to give anything here off of the budget cycle that we're in. We would have to do the supplemental budget process, or do you wait and ask them to submit a request for 2027 budgets, just like the fire departments do and like all other non-mandated entities do?
I'd like to see a request, a formal request that we could act on yet this year. What we've got so far is pretty general, and we didn't know, they weren't sure of what funding sources they had and didn't have during the presentation. That was what I gathered. I think it's definitely a worthwhile service that needs to be provided in that portion of the county. But yeah, I'd like to see a more formal request laid out that we can take action on. Because right now, we'd be guessing at what they need. But I definitely think it's a worthwhile thing to pursue and get them some funding yet this year if they need to.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
You said the total dollar amount was $6,500?
$6,500 for the training piece, because it was $500 per member. So it was $6,500 for their training expenses. And then the 3 radios that they're asking for was just over $16,000. But as Commissioner Post had mentioned, they had been, my understanding is that they have asked other entities for assistance as well. And so maybe, like you said, a more formal request. What assistance have you been able to get from other entities that you have reached out for? What exactly is the dollar amount that you're seeking? And then something that we can more formally make a decision on, rather than just taking, these are good quotes, but something a little more formal.
Yeah.
On your balance sheet here, you have radio upgrades, 129,000. Do you remember what?
That was the highway.
That was just the highway.
All the highway radios that we upgraded back 2024.
That didn't include any fire departments or anything like
No,
that?
that was just highway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if they can come back, it would be great for them to, I think they had mentioned about coming back with more formal things, and if they do have updated on their fundraising and that, for a more formal ask, we could probably accommodate that in an upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
Total ask wasn't more than 22,000, is that what I just?
22.5, I believe.
22.5.
You know, we did the Bruce generator up there, and we also did at City of Aurora, the pump there for the public water, so it wouldn't be out of line but they need to bring a request forward.
Yeah.
With a very specific dollar amount, and I think it would be fair to ask, what other fundraising efforts, have you already been given, so.
We don't need to double fund something, but I think it's worthwhile. They need to get that training, and they need to get some radios so they can communicate and provide the service that's needed.
Right.
Okay. Moving on, number 10, Commission Department Director's Report.
All right. As part of my report, in your packets, I included a couple of documents. One was the bylaws for the Brookings County Commission, including rules of procedure and policies, and then a code of conduct for commissioners, elected appointed department heads, and then members of all of your boards, commissions, committees, task force, et cetera. The commission has never had any formal bylaws or a location where all of these policies are kept. We know we have them and we refer to them as needed, but not one specific location where you can go to and find those policies. I really looked at Pennington County, had this bylaws document, and then that referenced this code of conduct. So I kind of used theirs and to create what I have created. If you wish to, I gave them to you now basically just as for an opportunity to read through them. There's no action or anything. If we want to take formal action on these documents, that would come as part of an agenda item at a later date. I guess what I'm just asking for now is if you've had a chance to take a look at them, read through them, and if it's something that you want to put on a future agenda for discussion and possible action. I have shared these documents with Dan Nelson, and he has said they're fine. But I didn't want to just give them to you without giving you a chance to look them over first. That's why I just kind of put them in the packet for discussion at this point.
Okay.
Any discussion on that or direction for me?
In your opinion, how's ours compared to Pennington County? Very similar.
It's very similar, yeah, very similar. A lot of it in the bylaws is just referencing state statute and the policies or basically the governance that the commission has through statute. A lot of it is. Some of it is not, but it addresses in there all of the different policies that we have approved over the years, and it's one place that we can continue to keep them and then update the bylaws then as needed as well. And then that code of conduct is just pretty general. If you get a chance to read through it, it's just pretty general conduct. Any direction? Do you want to see this as an action item moving forward?
What's the consensus?
I didn't get all the way through them yet. But
No.
I started, but it got too late last night.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're not terribly lengthy, but that's why I wanted to give you a chance now to put them in now just for discussion purposes, so that you have a chance to look over them.
I think we as commissioners need to get them all read and go through them and then get back to you on next step.
Okay.
And this would go in the personnel manual, correct?
It would be a separate document from the personnel manual because this really is more of something, bylaws for the commission itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The code of conduct does affect department heads and all of your like appointed committee members and things of that nature. So that would need to be, addressed with each of those individuals if this were passed. But
Does this document cover all elected officials or just the commission?
the code of conduct encompasses all appointed and elected department heads. The bylaws are specific for the county commission, but if you read through them, like I said, a lot of it is just kind of regurgitated state statute on powers of the board given statutorily. There's a few other things that kind of speak to like how the agenda is laid out, for instance. So I've, kind of do basically just kind of what we do and how we handle our agendas and just basic procedures, but it's spelled out in these bylaws.
When I went through all that, there was nothing in there that red flagged for me or concerns or.
No.
Seems like we're following everything that's in there, and I don't know. I don't have any concerns in that, I guess.
Okay, I suppose,
So will you all individually then tell me if you're okay with me putting them on the next agenda once you've had a chance to look over them?
Yep.
Okay. Dave, you've already given me your opinion, so you don't need to reach out to me. Okay.
I see no concerns in there.
Okay. So the HVAC boiler system project for the government center is underway. So if people hear a lot of banging and clanging, it's probably what it is. Part of my staff report kind of included a general timeline of things. So right now the cooling system was being demolished. And again here, cooling tower, now we're kind of into March with the cooling tower demolition and expansion of the concrete pads. So some more demolition, probably some more noise here in the upcoming days. On Wednesday, April 8th, there's a tactical pipeline response training through the South Dakota Pipeline Association. That's at 11:30 at the Dakota Bank Center. I think each of you probably received information individually and can register for that. If you want to attend, go ahead and register, or if you need me to, please reach out to me and I can track that down. The commission did receive a thank you from the museum as well. That was included with my report. Some upcoming dates, I think as Highway Superintendent Brian Gusted had mentioned today, at 2:30 is the bid opening for the county asphalt and chip seal projects. That's actually going to be next door here in the community room. This Saturday, Elkton, the EMT training, I think when they were here a couple of weeks ago, you had asked about that training. That lunch is at noon at the Elkton Community Center. That's this Saturday. Next Wednesday is the Baby Bell expansion groundbreaking ceremony. You would park at the Domelli's Event Center, and then they're going to bus you over to that groundbreaking site, the ceremony site. Next Thursday, the 12th, is the Brookings Public Library Board meeting at 11:45 at the library. The Brookings and Moody County Lincoln Day dinner is the 20th of March, 5 o'clock at Club 71 at SDSU. In addition to the calendar, March 31st, I did receive notice that the Brookings Fire Department annual feed will be that Tuesday, March 31st, 5:30 social, 6:30 meal. That's at their fire hall there on 607 20th Avenue, right along 6th Street, next to Burger King. A couple of other things coming into April. We have the retirement party for Finance Officer Lori Schultz scheduled for the 2nd of April, 3 to 5. It'll be here in the chambers. And then that same evening is the Taste of Brookings celebration from 5 to 7:30 at Club 71. I will be getting some additional information and getting RSVPs for that. We'll be closing at noon for Good Friday on the 3rd. April 8th is a Wednesday. That is our next 10-county meeting date. It is in DeSmet at noon on April 8th. Do you know if you plan to attend that? Kelly, yes? Yes, 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 yes? What's that?
But I haven't made one yet.
What?
I said, I haven't made one of those yet, so I should.
Okay. Okay. Starts at noon at DeSmet, and I'll be getting out the agenda and some additional information on that. Budget hearings. I would like to set a date for budget hearings. Looking at the week of June 22nd, I know we have some people are going to be out early in mid-June, so it'll be a little bit later, but I'd like to get just a date on the calendar for that. Is there a particular day? So the week of June 22nd.
Only thing I have is on the 25th at noon.
Okay.
That week is open for me.
That week's open for me too, but if we just did it Tuesday, the 23rd, we can kind of keep consistent with our,
Stay with a Tuesday.
would that be
Do
possible?
an all-day thing. If we get it on the calendar now, just put it on your calendar. I'll send out a meeting invite, then it's on your calendars and you can't schedule anything around it. How's that sound? June
works.
23rd? Okay.
Start in the morning,
Yes.
early?
Yes.
What's early for you? 8? 6?
8 a.m. is usually what we start with budget hearings. Also, even looking a little bit further out, but wanted you to know, the Conservation District Tour, they're looking at August 20th. I know that's quite a ways out yet, but they wanted to kind of get that too set in stone. If you look at your calendars now and tell me that that doesn't work for you, I can let them know that too. We're just trying to get a date on the calendar for that as well.
I know that date, that I have a research park and we have an LEPC meeting, but those are at 11 and noon, so.
Okay, this usually wraps up, noonish. Well, it's usually between 8 and noon.
Yeah, should be fine.
Should be fine. Okay. Anybody else have any strong aversion to that date? Otherwise, I'll let them know. Okay. Okay. I think that's all I've got.
All right.
Unless you have any questions for me.
I think so. State's Attorney's Office report.
Nothing to report.
All right. So then we'll move into Commissioner reports. Commissioner Vanderwall.
Thank you. On Saturday, February 21, I attended the legislative coffee here in Brookings for both Districts 7 and 8. I think 5 of the 6 were here that day. It was good interaction with our people who represent us in Pierre. On Monday, February 23rd, I had several interviews here at this building for weed supervisor. On Tuesday, the 24th, I attended the DOT stakeholder meeting here at noon. And then on Thursday, with many of the rest of you, on February 26th, I attended the annual township meeting and the weed meeting in the afternoon. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Post.
Yes, on the 17th, right after our commission meeting, we had the bid opening for the weed department. And then on the 21st, On that Saturday, I was out in Pier representing our region at the state GOP meeting, Central Committee meeting. Let's see, on the 23rd, we had interviews for the weed department head, and on the 26th, I was also at the Townsend Township meeting and the weed board meeting that we had out there. So that is my report.
Commissioner Miller.
All right, thank you. On the 23rd, I had the board meeting that night at Behavioral Health. They continue to, amazing staff over there. They're doing really good things, but having some challenges with some funding changes federally. So they're needing to address some changes and redirect there a little bit to keep going. On the 25th, I met with the president of the Humane Society. They're looking at doing a new building project and wanted to fill me in with what's happening with that. Also on the 25th, the Beta board meeting. And again, they're dealing with some funding changes federally. So made a vote that they're going to raise the fares $1 a ride there to try to offset some of the funding loss. Then later in the afternoon, the Brookings Area Transportation Plan met here in this room, talking about some changes in what's happening there. It seems odd to be talking about changes in 2050. That sounds like a really feature, but I guess that's not that far away. So, on the 26th, attended the township and weed board meeting with the rest. Yesterday, I went and had a tour of the Humane Society in the building and talked with the director there and what they're doing, and talked about some numbers and how they're funded, and didn't realize that that's a standalone nonprofit. That's not a city entity or anything. It's just a standalone. So interesting. A lot of animals go through there. And then also yesterday I had a meeting with Eric from the CEO of ICAP. Again, discussing how that program works and all the different tentacles that they have and the different ways that they impact the community. Really enjoying that. There's a lot to learn there. So I have another board meeting with them tonight. So, and that's my report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Jensen.
On the 21st, I attended the legislative update, which was very informative. Thank you to our area representatives in Pier for what they do. On the 23rd, had a hospital board meeting. I'm still learning there. They went through some financials, and also it was very interesting. Had a presentation on artificial intelligence out there and AI and the possible ways that it can be used at the hospital and different departments. Still experimenting with that. On the 24th, attended the Brookings Area Transportation Plan here in this building. Like Commissioner Miller said, it's interesting how many years out there looking and forecasting traffic counts and such. On the 26th, attended the Townsend Township meeting, and also in the afternoon attended the weed meeting, which I was impressed. It was well attended by township personnel, and thanks to all the staff that gave presentations there and attended.
All right. So on the 18th, after our meeting that Wednesday, I ended up attending the United Way Stronger Together Suicide Prevention Forum that the United Way held out at the Dakota Bank Center. It's something that I know Assistant Sheriff Beitler sits on and was a panelist on, and we thank him for his service to those boards, and that it really is eye-opening, knowing the history on that. The amount of resources that come together to work for our continued struggle with mental health in our communities across Brookings County and across the state. We have a lot of very strong organizations that come together to help get people the assistance that they need, and the United Way does a great job of that. That afternoon, I attended the Zoom legislative update put on through the Growth Alliance. Some great information, and they bring back every week information back from Pier to us there. On the 19th, attended the Research Park Board meeting, and then that afternoon, we had a Growth Alliance Board meeting. Just moving forward, they've put out a official offer to one of our CEO candidates, waiting for all of the information to come back so we can announce who that new CEO will be down the road. And then on the 21st, the Growth Alliance Public Affairs Committee attended that legislative coffee here with the District 7 and 8 legislators. Again, you know, more information coming from peer that really impacts us here in Brookings County. The more information, the better, and for us as county officials and that to be involved in that process is very, very beneficial for us in Brookings County. And that is my report. So moving on to number 13, executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 125-2, parentheses 1 and 4 for personnel and contract negotiations. I will look for a motion to enter into exec session.
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are in exec.